Good morning, folks. Dr. Harcourt here. We're having coffee this morning. We're going to discuss a topic that is germane to this time of year. Everybody wanting to go on the beach and enjoy Fort Myers Beach and Sanibel beaches. Everybody wants their toes to look good. So we're going to go over the top 3 things to make sure that you have beautiful toes when you're out on the beach. By way of background, everybody knows what ugly toes look like, but what causes ugly toes? It's a fungal infection. And before we get into that, who am I in case we haven't met? I'm Dr. Timothy Harcourt, in practice 33 years on College Parkway in Fort Myers, and 25 years in Pennsylvania and 8 years here. So we're going to go over how to avoid getting ugly toes. If you have it, how to get rid of it. Because it's obviously something that people don't want. So it's a germane topic, and it's also a topic that's been requested. And by the way, if you have requests for a specific topic, let us know in the comments. If you know of somebody that's been really struggling with ugly toes and maybe they've tried the antifungals, they've did everything and they can't get rid of it, tag them in this video because we definitely can help them get rid of it. So let's talk about the background here while we're sipping on a little bit of coffee. What is the background? What is it actually called? The technical term is onychomycosis. Who cares, right? It basically means an infection of the toenail with a fungus. And so where does that come from? Well, it can come from a lot of different sources. We're going to talk about how to stay away from those sources. Social distancing with the fungus, among us. All right, so we are definitely going to talk about that. But it's thought that most fungal infections actually come from athlete's foot. So we're going to talk about how to stay away from those type of sources so that you don't ultimately end up with ugly toes. Okay. So people do ask, how come it doesn't affect your fingernails? How comes it's just in your feet? Well, the biggest reason is most people have their feet in shoes all day long and trapping the moisture in there. What does a fungus like? It likes moisture and a lack of sunlight. What kills fungus? Sunlight and dry conditions. Okay. So just like in your shower, if you have that black mold growing in your shower, all you have to do is get a dehumidifier and run it in there, and the fungus won't have a chance to grow. Can time it. Maybe it's on for an hour after you take your shower and you can get rid of it. By the way, a pretty healthy thing to do for your feet as well, because fungus can grow in a lot of different places. So let's talk about where those places are as we're having a sip of coffee this morning. I'm going to say that you want at least 1 inch of social distancing from the bottom of your feet with public places. So what I mean by that, I'm talking about showers at the beach, showers at your workout, at somebody else's house. So what do you mean by social distancing? 1 inch social distancing from a fungus. I'm talking about wearing sandals or flip-flops. Even the cheapest flip-flops you could find at Walmart for $2 is well worth it, because when you think about it, if your feet aren't down where the fungus exists, where does the fungus exist in the shower? On the floor. And on the sides too, if they're not running a dehumidifier, that black mold that you see, that's not good, right? So mold and fungi are different, but the thing is they both like the same conditions. So you want to maintain separation from the bottom of your feet so that you don't get athlete's foot, tinea pedis, so that you ultimately don't get ugly nails. The next thing is if your feet are dry, it makes it much more difficult to get ugly nails. So what I mean by that? Well, choose the footwear that doesn't cause your feet to sweat, and choose the proper socks to wick that moisture away. So when you can, expose your feet to sunlight. It's not going to get rid of ugly nails because the sunlight's not strong enough at that point to kill it. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But when you go to the gym, you go to the showers on the beach, you go to somebody else's house, you go to a hotel, you're out of town and you're visiting, get some flip-flops from Walmart or wherever and take your shower with the flip-flops. In fact, wear those until, in fact, you're drying your feet and putting your shoes on away from the bathroom. Why? Because the fungus isn't going to grow on the carpet in the bedroom. It will grow in the shower, though, and on the bathroom floor. So these are things to consider as far as avoiding ugly nails. Now, what about footwear? People ask me, okay, so let's just say that I had ugly nails. Do I need to get rid of the shoes that I have? Well, if you have a bad case of onychomycosis, and at the very least, you want to consider the main shoes you wear of replacing those. Not all your shoes, but you should treat your other shoes, because it can obviously stay in your shoe. So if you put your foot right back in after you had treatment, whether it's antifungal or laser or whatever, you could be recontaminating your feet. So that's a really important factor. So whatever treatment you decide to do, make sure you're doing your part on your end to keep it away from your toes. Next thing is, so what is the treatment for it? So from a medical standpoint, they have antifungals, ketoconazole, those type of things. They tend to be hepatic and renotoxic, meaning that it attacks the liver and the kidney. If your doctor does recommend those medications, many times they'll do like a liver enzyme test, even 3 or 4 times a week, to make sure that it's not destroying the liver. So it can be a relatively dangerous type of treatment when you compare it to laser. Laser really doesn't have those kind of side effects. So the laser doesn't attack the liver and the kidney. It basically attacks the fungus, which is what we want to do. So, the thing is, if we avoid the fungal contact to begin with, and we don't put ourselves in a position of getting it, that's obviously the best thing. Then we consider the footwear. Obviously, if you don't have it, then you want to make sure that you're keeping your feet dry. Either way, you want to make sure that your feet are as dry as they can be. And then lastly, we're talking about potential treatment. And the treatment that we just discussed is oral antifungals. The next thing is laser. So what does the laser do? The laser essentially burns the fungus out of your toenail. So it's kind of like concentrating the sunlight, which if you expose a fungus to sunlight long enough, it will kill it. The problem is inside of your nail gives the fungus protection. And unless that's a very high concentrated light, it's not really going to kill the fungus in your toenails. I've had people say, well, can't I just go down to the beach and lay out in the sun all day long and get rid of it? I wish it was that easy. It's not actually, because your toenail, upper layer of the toenail, is actually protecting the fungus. So other people, I've done things like soak their feet in chlorine water, which isn't good for you to begin with and almost never works anyway. I've even had patients say they pulled their toenails off with their pliers, which that's rather brutal, by the way, and it hurts like heck, and it still doesn't work. So let's talk about why those things don't work. Because the fungus recontaminates the new nail. So unless you kill that fungus, it's just going to regrow with the fungus in it. So when we talk about the laser treatment, what we do with the laser is we do both feet. Why is that important? Because you're going to get cross-contamination. Even if you think you don't have an infection on the one side, it will hold your treatment back, because you'll come into contact with that other shoe or whatever. So we always treat both sides. And then obviously you need to do your part on the back end to make sure your footwear is either completely clean and been treated properly to get rid of the fungus, or you just got new footwear. And then the next thing is, when we do the laser, we do all toes to both feet. The big toe is twice as big and thick as the other toes, so the treatment on the big toe takes longer than the other toes. Now, people ask, how does a laser feel? Well, it's actually pretty comfortable, but it gets hot. So when if you saw the beginning part of our live here, you saw the laser being done. It's intense light. It's a class 4 laser with a special applicator just made for toenail fungal infections. And it does heat your nail up. And when we do that, smoke is coming off your nail a lot of times, especially if you have a bad case of it. What is that smoke? That is the fungus dying and coming up into the air. So yeah, it doesn't always smell too good, but it works. It works very well. Now, we do treatment to all your toes on both feet and then wait 30 days and put another treatment on, and then another treatment. Sometimes it requires more than that. The typical case is 3 to 4 different treatments to both feet with a 30-day interval. And you might ask yourself, why don't you just do it 3 times a week and be done with it? Or 4 times, 3 times a week? The answer to your question is the nail has to grow out. Why does it need to grow out? Because, like I said before, the fungus will grow backwards. And if you're not killing it as your new nail grows out, you'll just have the infection all over again. So that's why it takes 3 to 4 treatments for the average case. Now, if somebody has had this for a long period, in other words, maybe they've had this for 10 or 15 years, they've tried the antifungals, it didn't work. They subjected their liver and kidneys to the destruction from those chemicals, but they still have it. Guess what? You're probably going to need more than 4 treatments. But it's not a big deal, because if it takes 6 treatments, it's still better than subjecting your liver and kidneys to that kind of destruction. And when you consider cost, it's $80 per foot or $160 per treatment. Extremely inexpensive compared to, say, like a liver or a kidney transplant, which is well into the hundreds of thousands of dollars, not to mention the hassle and everything else. So the thing is, it's a treatment that is highly effective, carries very little side effect at all, and it's relatively easy. It takes about 10 minutes per foot. You have the prep time, the post-treatment time. It's about 30 minutes total to do both feet, each treatment. Okay. So that's pretty much what we have. Unfortunately, we have not really had too many patients be able to treat this on their own and get rid of it. It's a very difficult and persistent condition. It usually requires professional help of some sort. So we have the high dosage dia-wave deep penetrating laser with a special applicator to be able to get rid of it for you. If you don't have it now, take the procedures that we mentioned to heart and basically keep from getting a fungal infection. Maintain that social distancing from the bottom of your foot to other surfaces that contain the fungus. And that's pretty much it. Now, I do want to remind you, if you have any topics you'd like us to go over, please do so. Put it in the comments. Next week, we're going to talk about plantar fasciitis. That was one of the topics that one of you have asked to review, so we will do that next time. So we're looking for a new topic in 2 weeks. To recap, we've done do-it-yourself pain solutions. That was our first one. We've done how to change your mental and physical health with creativity. Of course, this week is treatment of ugly nails, and next week's going to be plantar fasciitis. So if you have a specific, and we've also done one on the 3 most important topics or questions you need to ask before getting surgery. So these are germane topics that you have requested. We really appreciate you watching the video today, and we hope that you stay strong, stay healthy, and stay creative. It's Dr. Harcourt signing off. Have a great day.